Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps. Jerel Hendricks back on the board as always, guys. We're here for our round 2 playoff preview special here on Moving the Chains. John, last week, round 1, as we predicted, you saw a lot of blowouts, didn't see the best football across some parts of the state. We saw a couple upsets, a couple close games, but for the most part, kind of went according to plan, I'd say, in round 1.
Yeah, pretty close to script. We had a couple upsets. We'll see in our pick'em results here later. Obviously, I didn't know what was going to happen in every single game, but 90% of the games we saw last week turned out how we expected. A lot better slate for this week, though.
That is certainly the case. As always, guys, appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to follow us here on Facebook, on Twitter /X, on Instagram, on YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHAINS. Our website, movingchains.com, and our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Each and every Tuesday, we go live 7:15 with our preview show for that following week. We have coach interviews, player interviews, teams of the week, players of the week, stock up, all kinds of great stuff throughout the week as well for you to check out. So hopefully you'll check us out each and every day, all throughout football season, and even when football season is over as well. Once again, that's Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS, on all social media platforms. Right now, get your Movin the Chains merch. Help support the boys. It's getting cold outside. It was very cold today and yesterday. You can get your Movin the Chains toboggans, a gray one and a black one. Great for these cold weather games. We have a sticker right now we can get to you as well. Great for your cup, for your laptop, for your computer. Support the boys with those. Some fantastic Richardson hats, a gray front with the black back and kind of a gray back, also a black front one you can see up there. All these items are posted on our social media as well. We have a T-shirt, a black T-shirt, a navy blue, a pink, and a gray. Also, you also have sweatshirts. I'm actually wearing one right now. We've got this kind of stone color here. We've got a gray one as well. Help support us. Help spread the word. Help grow the word. I mean, this show is the best when we have several folks in here talking ball with us. So I want to help to make that bigger and better. And that certainly helps when you guys are wearing the merch, spreading the word to your friends. So you can email us info@movingchains.com, info@movingchains.com, or DM us on all social media platforms to get your Moving the Chains merch. But John, you mentioned it, round 2. We're looking at a lot better football games this week, man. We had a little bit of a harder time getting our 5 Kona games of the week. But I'm excited, and it's not just in a couple classes. I think every class has really heavyweight matchups, it feels like, this Friday night.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There are – in the first round, there's a lot of games where you go, wow, I'm not sure these teams should be in the playoffs. And then the second round, you have a lot of games. It's like, man, this game should be happening 2 rounds from now.
Yeah. We got some games that are certainly the quality of a round 4 upper state, lower state title game for sure. But Jerel, any comments from the chat before we get rolling here with our Kona games of the week? Brandon says, "What's up, fellas? Kevin, you're right. North Central was not a very good 7-3 team. Clinton 56-7. They'll have Saluda this weekend. North Central was more of a product of their schedule. It felt like for sure." Zach says, "Good evening. Round 2, the Red Devils ready to tame some Tigers of Saluda on Friday. Should be a good game there in 2A." Zach. Steven says, "West Side in the house, ready to take down Ren for the second time this season. Should be a great game this time over at West Side." Ren hosted that game a couple weeks back. JD says, "Good evening, watching live from A-Town. Round 2 is here. Abbeville, a bit of a test this week. Louisville, a good squad there. But Abbeville, as we know, is the favorite, it feels like, every year in 1A. Chris, good seeing you, buddy. Thank you for joining us as always. Appreciate you, David. Thank you for getting here as well, buddy. Kevron, good to see you, man. Good evening to you as well. Kevron says, "Gray Collegiate going to win state this year." Hey, that they are playing good football right now. They're on a mission. Coach Bryant doing a great job with that group. The War Eagles should be a tough out for anybody. Travis says, "What's up, guys? Westside Ren rematch. Can't wait. Going to be a packed house. Certainly should be a great atmosphere, great crowd." Noah says, "What's up, guys? Hope Hillcrest can keep the momentum going and get a win down in Indian Land." John, to admit, this Hillcrest team, the bracket is set up pretty well for them these next couple rounds if things break a certain way. But they had a good win over Riverside last Friday for sure. BE versus Latta is a good one, says RW. Yes, BE is a team that hasn't really been tested this year. Latta's going to try to give them a test, see what happens to the Red Raiders on Friday with them and the Vikings getting after it.
Yeah, sorry, guys. We got to cut the comment so we can start talking about the games. But I do want to say happy Veterans Day to any veteran that's listening or watching right now. Love that.
Salute to all the veterans. Good call, Jerel.
Marines as well. Yesterday, they had their 250th birthday. So happy birthday to those Marines who are listening as well. So happy Veterans Day. Let's get started with some high school football, though, guys.
Our Kona games of the week, 5 of the biggest games across the state. John, let's start with the matchup in 4A with a combined loss total of 2. And that is AC Flora, the Falcons at 10-1, traveling to take on the 10-1 Seneca Bobcats. AC Flora, a big win over York last week, 49-14, averaging 41 points per game on offense, 12 allowed on defense, taking on the Bobcats of Seneca, who kind of snuck by Lancaster, 28-21, a Bruins team that I will say has been very dangerous in the playoffs the last couple of years. Whatever Coach Surratt does when playoff comes around, he does a great job with that group. But Seneca won the ball game by 7, and that's what matters. They're averaging 45 points per game on offense, just 13 allowed on defense, John. What do you see in this matchup? 2 really high-scoring offenses, it feels like, but kind of get it done a little bit different ways with the styles they play.
Yeah, Seneca's had a really good year. I know we have gone down this path with the Bobcats before, but I think this is a better team than what we've seen last few years, especially last year. Last year we gave them some hype. There was, I think they got a good bit of hype in the media poll as well earlier in the year. They run into that speed bump, Daniel, and the reality starts to come more into focus. They lost to Daniel this year, but it was a much more competitive game, just an 11-point game.
They were in it, yeah.
And they beat a really good Powdersville team to start the season off. Now, that's a Powdersville team that has improved a lot over the course of the season. But I think this is the best Seneca team we have seen maybe since we've been doing the show. Mm-hmm. And they get to play at home. AC Flora, really dynamic. We saw them play earlier in the year. Love the quarterback play. They got good weapons outside. Very well coached. That coaching staff does a great job of utilizing the talents and weapons they have. I think this could be a pretty good ball game, especially being up in the mountains, up in the upstate there at Seneca. I think AC Flora is just more of a complete team. I like them. I think they're a little more tested. I think they are slightly more talented and just a slightly better team. I think all of that put together, I like the Falcons to win this game. But I can see this being a pretty competitive ball game and a tight game in the fourth quarter where, somebody makes a big mistake, they could certainly change the ball game.
For AC Flora, you mentioned the quarterback play. Roper Winsky last week, 15 for 19, 211, 2 touchdowns. He also surpassed 8,000 career passing yards. So hats off to Roper. Really cool stat there for him. Running back Jalen Simmons, 24 carries for 161, 3 touchdowns. Tons of receivers making plays. Kendall Bird, 400 and a touchdown. We know what Blake Patek can do out wide. Josh Davis, Charlie Scott, also weapons for them. Defensively, Azel Banag has 5 picks, 3 fumble recoveries on the season. He's doing a great job turning the football over there for the Falcons. Peyton Bishop, Brandon Williams, big-time players. And the guy I got to keep an eye on, a sophomore, Nazir Walker, a defensive end, 10-plus sacks this season, one of the best sophomores in the state, a guy certainly to watch there for Coach Floyd's team. On the Seneca side, quarterback Gavin Tolma is having a monster season, 2,200-plus passing yards, 34 touchdowns, just 2 picks. Running back Amari Werner, 1,700-plus yards, 20 touchdowns on the ground as well. Receivers Colton Hawk, Jeremiah Hunter, Elias McGee. Defensively led by Jermaine Miller, Philpott, Cope Chapman, and DB Jeremiah Cobb. The thing for me with AC Flora, John, we talked all year long about how the weapons they have out wide, and Winsky does a great job spreading it around to Batet and Scott and Davis and Bird and all those guys. But the last few weeks, the run game has really come along as well. Simmons stepping up has done a great job for them. We know Coach Floyd is a run-first guy. So now he's got a back that can kind of carry the load, help them open up that pass game. They're even more dangerous, it feels like, now with Simmons rolling for them. On the Seneca side, they had a lot of turnovers last week. You can't have that this week if you want to win this football game. But you do wonder, you have a game like last week where, you come in, you're the heavy favorite. You're supposed to beat Lancaster by 2, 3, 4 scores. You don't play your best. You kind of squeak out a 7-point win. Does that almost, free you up, help you play a little bit more loose this week? Like, hey, guys, we played bad last week. That was our bad showing. Let's just go play some ball now. We can't play any worse than that. And they just kind of, maybe play 3-4 levels better this week because they've already had that bad showing in the playoffs.
I think it helps in the sense of you're in a close game.
Yeah.
And because that's something that Seneca hasn't had a ton of close games this year. I think it helps in that sense to play a full 48-minute game, but I don't think it's good mentally. I think, Seneca is the team. I think if it was AC Flora, it would be a different story. They had the bad game last week. But for Seneca, you're constantly battling this. Well, are they good or are they not good? Is it because of the schedule? And, they got a great record. They lost to Daniel again. It's the same story. They got a little bit of that chip on their shoulder attitude. I don't know if the close game helps that a ton from a mental perspective and preparing for the game, but I do think it helps with a physicality standpoint of, hey, now we know what it's like to play a 48-minute game and, being tied in the fourth quarter. I think it helps in that regard more so than the mental aspect of it. But I don't know that that's going to make the difference on Friday.
Yeah, you mentioned, with them playing so bad this week, that was only their second game all season scoring less than 42 points. Like, they have been lighting up the scoreboard, except for Daniel now, except for Lancaster. So they can certainly get it done. Toma has had a lot of the talk has been about Werner on the ground all year for them, but the quarterback's had a great year as well. And I tried up those stats. What was it? 200 plus yards, 34 touchdowns. He's been amazing for Coach Crane's squad as well. But I think, John, I think AC Flora a little more tested, a little more experience. I like what Coach Floyd's bunch is doing right now. They're playing really good football, kind of hitting their stride. I think they go on the road and win this game, but I do think it's going to be a close ball game, 7-10 points, something like that. But I like the Falcons on the road over in Seneca. Jerel, who do you like in this game? What's the chat saying about AC Flora and Seneca?
Yeah, I got to agree with you guys. I'm just going to pick AC Flora. Just flat out, you just go to like the pedigree of their program and what they've been able to accomplish the last few years. You think they're a little bit tested, through this season as well, a little bit more. And a lot of the guys that perform for them have played a lot of football. So I like the Falcons to win this one. It's not easy to get to Seneca either. So that may be a factor as well. It's not the easiest place, even, it's, in Oconee there, kind of off the highways and things like that. So we'll see if that has any factor whatsoever. I know it'll be a really good environment, because a lot of people in that area are going to go support this team. They won 10 games, which is fantastic. Just with Seneca, man, it's a prove it kind of week for me. That's what I look at it as. It's like, if you want to be taken seriously as a program, you have to win this game. Like, it's must win, literally, or it's just going to be like we do every year with them. They have a really good season, but it's like, is it the schedule? Because that's all we have to go off of. In looking through their schedule, they've got to start scheduling a little bit tougher in the non-region for us to, put a little bit more respect on it. But it is a great opportunity for them, and I hope it's a really good ball game.
Certainly should be. What does the chat say? Travis says Falcons 28-17. Brandon says, like the turnaround Seneca has, going Flora 38-24. Zach says, not to mention Seneca wasn't in that game. They're up 16-0 on Daniel, for Daniel scored 27. Yeah, certainly had a real shot to win that one. Struggled down the stretch there to close that one out.
Hey, we know that's Daniel's MO.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Everyone's kind of leaning, Flora as expected in this one. But Seneca has a great opportunity to kind of shock the state and really make some waves.
Our second Calling a Game of the Week, a matchup that is always a lot of fun when these two guys get together, John. Now, we'll see some classics up between these two, and that's another 4A game. Camden, the 8-3 Bulldogs, taking on the 10-1 Daniel Lions over at Singleton Field. Camden, a 38-20 victory over Greer last week, averaging 35 points on offense, 23 allowed on defense. Quarterback Grayson Rimp, 2,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, only 6 picks on the season. Last week, running back Navi Boykin went 16 for 126, 2 touchdowns. Receiver / running back Tylen Drakeford, a guy I like a lot, gets involved receiving the ball and in the run game as well. Receivers Isaiah Smith, Bernard Green are weapons for them. Defensively, linebacker LeVay Penny, Jaden Manning, and then up front, Thomas Bishop and Dontrell Wilson lead that Bulldog squad. On the Daniel side, a bit of an odd game, a 14-10 win over Dreer. Now, Dreer was playing very inspired football. They had a death in the program on the coach staff earlier last week. So certainly we're playing for him, and it's a tough game to get a read on, really. But the Lions averaging 40 points per game on offense for the season, 14 allowed on defense. Quarterback Jace Gross, a touchdown last week. He has 2,700 yards, 30 touchdowns, only 2 picks on the season. The young running back duo, freshman Kingston Bibbs, 17 for 104. Sophomore Emmanuel Major, 10 for 74. Two guys that can really go for Coach Stone there. Receivers, lots of weapons. Trey Wembley, Ham Scott, PJ Chancellor. Defensively, Tegan Pounds, 13 tackles last week. Defensive end, Dexter Johnson. Defensive backs, Frooster and Chancellor get it done for, like I said, first-year head coach Chris Stone. John, the last time we saw these two guys together, 2023 3A state title game, Daniel wins 49-48 in overtime. I don't know if we're going to get a classic quite like that this week, but, man, I would love to see that. Would you?
I tell you what, I think it's in the cards. I think we've got a good chance of seeing a high-scoring game, and I think it's going to be a very close game. Whether we get the luxury of free football, I'm not going to, put any kind of confidence on that, but I do think we're going to see a really good game and a close game. I think this one comes down to what can Camden do in the first half. We've seen Daniel. We saw him do it last week against Dreer. We saw it early in the season against Clinton. And I feel like we saw it against Seneca as well. They get down early and then make, Clinton was a miraculous comeback in the fourth quarter. I was watching that game and it was almost this thing's over, and things went their way, and they didn't give up. The offense came alive. They've had a habit of doing that throughout the entire year. I think Camden's got to do everything they can to get on them early and get up as much as they can that first half, because this Daniel team, if they're down first half, they're down at halftime by 7 or 10. They're not going to be faced. It's going to be a position that they're very familiar with, very comfortable with. Now, if you're up on them by 21 or 24 at the half, that's a different story. That's a much bigger hill to climb, right? I expect this to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Daniel ultimately finds a way to win this game. When these two get together, Daniel finds a way. They're almost always really good games, almost always pretty high scoring, and Daniel finds a way to win the ball game. And they've been able to do it by throwing the ball over the top. Throwing the ball over the top down the field. I think they find a way to win this ball game Friday. I think it's going to be a really, really good game, really close game. But I tell you what, ask me at halftime how I feel. Based on that halftime score, I'm going to feel really good one way or the other. But Daniel's going to decide whether they win or lose this game in the second half. No doubt about it.
Yeah, playing at home, certainly a big advantage for the Lions. And I was looking at it earlier when I was doing my research. It feels like when you want to compare the number of weapons that Daniel has, like who does that kind of mirror on the Camden schedule with the wideouts they've got, the quarterback and the running backs? And it felt almost like the team we just talked about, AC Flora, with tons of weapons everywhere. That Flora team put up 40 on Camden just 2 weeks ago. So that worries me a little bit about that Bulldog defense. I think if Daniel scores 40, I think you're in for a long night if you're Camden. I think you're going to keep that game a little more low scoring than that if you want to have a chance to win. But Camden, they had some really nice wins here. They beat a good Hartsville team, a good White Knoll team early in the year, a good Lugoff Elgin team. Like they have done some good things non-region. Region play, they lost to the two big dogs, South Point and AC Flora. So we'll see. This is a really good matchup here. I think for Camden to win this game, you're going to have your guys be special. And I think that starts with Tyler Drakeford. Like he's got to have a monster game for them. We know what Boykin's going to do. Boykin's going to get you, 100 yards or so, touchdown. I think Rimp's going to do something similar to it. I think Boykin is the guy that has to make the plays for them. He may need to go for 100 on the ground, 100 through the air, whatever it is, a couple scores, but I think he is the playmaker that they need to step up for the Bulldogs. But I think Daniel, just a little too much talent right now on offense. I think they're going to score a good bit of points in this game. I think what they can do with Gross and Scott and Wembley and those guys going to be too much for Camden to overcome. I like Daniel at home. And a little bit more of a high-scoring game. I think Daniel's going to put up some points in this ball game, I think, to win. But should be a fun one. I know, if you're the Camden folks, you're like, man, we owe these guys one. Like, we haven't beat them in however long. I don't know if it's this week, but we shall certainly see. Jerel, what do you like in this one? What's the chat saying about the Bulldogs and the Lions?
I don't like making a pick in this game. That's what I don't like. I do like the fact that the last time we did see, I think that state title game was the best high school football game that I've covered in doing this in 5 years. That was so much fun. That was such a good game. So let me split the vote. I've been going back and forth all day on this one. Give me Camden in this one. I think this is a year for Daniel to get caught. I think there is a revenge factor. I mean, Daniel has, I hate to say it this way, but they've owned these guys. I mean, they really have. They've had their number, and especially in big time games too. It stinks because these guys usually match up later in the playoffs, like state championships. So getting it second round, like John was mentioning earlier in the show, like we got this game a little bit too early. It feels like in the playoffs, but give me Camden by 1 on the road. Going to pull it out. It's going to be an epic game. Get their revenge. Definitely, it's not going to be a state title level revenge, but I like Camden to win here.
I like it. That should be a great game. Royal Quest says Daniel's a young team. Yeah, this team's not going anywhere. Like, that's a program that has been built for a decade plus now, doing a great job. Travis is taking Camden for the upset, 28-24. Brandon says he'll take Camden 31-17. Daniel's a good team. I don't think they're good as last year. Deshandra says we definitely owe them. Yes, certainly do. Certainly do. Jessica says revenge. We owe them one. She'll take her boys. Go Dogs. T. Drake will have one. Watch. He's going off. Hey, they need it. I hope he does, man. I love watching Tylen play.
He's gonna need more than one.
Yeah, Roquest says Camden gonna get caught in a trap. Looking forward to hoping to play West Side.
I don't think so.
This one's always a movie. It's gonna be an epic game. So if you're in that area, you maybe catch a 2-for-1. Go catch halftime of this one and go catch half of the Seneca game while you're over there.
And one thing too that I do want to bring up that I don't know how much of a factor it is, because this is round 2. Obviously, it's not a state title. It's not an upper state championship game. This is Coach Stone's really first big time playoff game there at Daniel. You know, when he was at Walhalla, they made the playoffs. They didn't have any matchups quite like this. And Coach Rimp at Camden is done it for a long time, man. And I feel like even when he hasn't had the best team, maybe he's done a great job of coaching the guys up and finding a way to win a game. Maybe they shouldn't if you just look at it on paper. So that coaching matchup could be a big factor as well, it feels like, in this game with the Lions and the Bulldogs to me.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys on that Daniel staff have been there for a while, so it's not just the head man. There's a lot of people that are used to winning there. But when you go head coach to head coach, and again, no shade to Coach Stone, one of my favorites, but you have to give the edge to Coach Rimp there. It's a good point. Just
the experience has been there before for sure. Our third Kona game of the week, a massive 5A ball game, a rematch from earlier in the year, John. One of the surprises across the state when this happened the first time. And that's Summerville 9-2, the Green Wave, traveling to take on the 6-4 Ashley Ridge Swamp Foxes. Like I mentioned, back in week 8, Ashley Ridge shocked the state by defeating Summerville 42-19 on their way to winning that region. Last week, Summerville, a big win over West Ashley, 65-21, averaging 39 points per game on offense, 16 allowed on defense. Ashley Ridge had a bye last week. You know, as part of winning that region, they had the RPI high enough to get a bye there. Averaging 33 on offense, 21 allowed on defense, John. Does Summerville get some revenge this week? Is Ashley Ridge just a bad matchup for them? What do you think here? Because this is a super intriguing ball game to me here.
Yeah, you know, I wish I saw that first matchup, that Summerville-Ashley Ridge game, 42-19. That is, not only did we not think Ashley Ridge was going to beat them, I mean, from the word go, they were dominating that game.
Yeah, I've got a stat for you here, actually. When they played the first time, Ashley Ridge was up 14-7 after one, 26-7 at halftime. So if you're the Green Wave, you can't have that happen again.
No, absolutely not. You got to get the offense going. They've been doing it really all year, except for that game and James Island game. But the James Island game was, funky weather too, and it's James Island. I think Summerville, I don't think they're going to get beat like that twice by one team. They're too good for that. They're just too good. They're too talented. I know they're going on the road a little bit. They're going to, they don't get to play in the friendly confines, but I don't see them getting beat like that by the same team twice in one season. I think they get the revenge. I think they win the game. I think they're too talented. To me, they're just too talented to get beat like this. They're getting too talented. We say it's so hard for one team to beat another team twice in the season, especially a team this good. Now, it's not impossible. It's certainly not possible, especially if, Ashley Ridge comes out like they did a few weeks ago. It's a great storyline to see what's going to happen in this ball game. I think Summerville does it. I think they get their revenge. And if they don't, if Ashley Ridge wins this game, I mean, they got to be one of the favorites, right? Especially in the lower state. But you got to really take them serious as a state championship contender if they pull this thing out. But I think the Green Wave, I think the revenge factor comes into play Friday night. I think they win this ball game.
Summerville led by quarterback Max Stafford, running back Javen Williams, who gets spelled by Cam Grayson sometimes. The big-time weapon outside, Jaden Kelly Murray, the landlord, is a stud, super explosive for Coach Rafferty there. Taru Davis, also a weapon for them. Defensively led by JT Williams and Tyree Patton at linebacker. Eli Presley's a playmaker, along with Josiah Taylor, Jacaden Pendergrass, and Jordan Ravenel at the DB position. Now, one key thing from that first matchup, Max Stafford did not play a ton. Came out early in that game. I can't remember if it was injury or what, but we'll see how that shakes out if he gets a full go for the Green Wave this time around. On the Ashley Ridge side, quarterback Trevor Kalick, he's a dual threat. Running back Ryan Campbell has 1,600-plus yards this year. Receivers Jagger Smiley and Josiah Mitchell. Defensively, MJ Respass has 11 tackles per game. Malquan Pimentel is a great linebacker for them as well. Defensive lineman Malachi Mitchell, defensive end JT King, and defensive back Jaquan Simmons. One thing to remember about this Ashley Ridge team, John, this has been kind of an odd season for them. You know, they've played their whole year with the interim head coach, Ashley Haskins, after the kind of the suspension there of Coach Tate. So certainly an odd year for the Swamp Foxes, but the key for them, I think, is what they did the last matchup, and that's run the football. They ran for 363 in that first game. Campbell, 26 for 202. Kalick, 14 for 131. If they can do that, they've got a really good chance. Obviously, if you're Summerville, you know that. So you want to figure out a way to stop that run. But that, coupled with the early lead they got, that just milked the clock, and Summerville could just never catch up that first time around. But I think this time, like you said, I think Summerville too explosive, man. What they can do with Williams, Kelly Murray, Davis, those guys can take it to the house from anywhere on the field. They're explosive in the return game as well. I think Summerville gets some revenge on the road. I'm thinking probably a little more of a higher scoring game here, I think.
I think so, too.
Green Wave win this one. And if you're Summerville's defense, like I said, you got to feel almost a little bit, you know, embarrassed from that first showing. Like, you're like, hey, like, we have 300-plus yards on the ground. Like, what are we doing? Like, I'm sure Coach Rafferty will have a game plan for that. Going to try to make Kalick throw it, which he can do. You know, he doesn't have the weapon like a Derek Sally Jr. out wide anymore for him, which would certainly be a help. But he can certainly spread it around. But I like Summerville too explosive this time. I think they win this game on the road, get a little revenge, move on to round 3. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on the Green Wave and the Swamp Foxes?
Sorry, wrong button. Sorry.
You're good.
The wrong button. Oh, no, this one's tough, man. And I started looking through like the historicals here the last 3 years. 2 years ago, this was a 4-point game. Last year, it was a 1-point game. This year, Ashley Ridge beats them. It's like we were talking about, like, is this a matchup problem? This is obviously a rivalry game. These are proximity, two teams that are close by. I don't know. I really don't know. I have to pick Summerville because I think they're the more talented bunch, but I think this is a situation where this Ashley Ridge bunch has their number. Like, they've got something figured out. Coaching staff's got something figured out. These kids probably grew up together, things like that. So there's a lot of added, you know, fuel when it comes to this game. But I anticipate another close game. I think it's going to be, well, the last one wasn't close. It was a blowout. But I anticipate, like the others, it was a close game the last few years. So they get the game at home. But I do think that Summerville gets to exercise demons a little bit. But yeah, it should be a tight one.
Charles says Ashley Ridge. Tom says hopes AR can get it done. King says we are hitting Summerville by 21. That would be a big revenge factor there if they can get that make that happen. Curtis says it'll be closer, but AR will win again. Charles says Haskins has been with Tate for many years. Certainly has. And has done a great job, you know, kind of stepping into that interim role this year for sure for the Swamp Foxes.
Yeah, so should be a close one. Again, there may be some issues. Our old friend Slick is saying that there may be an issue. Javen Williams may not be playing, so I don't know if that's legit or not. I don't like to report that, but that could be a huge factor. So something to keep your eyes on the next few days.
Yeah, and I like Cam Grayson, the backup, as a stud as well. But obviously, you want Javen Williams if you can get him out there on the field. It's just tough for me, guys. Like, I don't know if there are. I mean, maybe a handful of teams, if that many in the state, that I would pick to beat Summerville twice in a season. And I I don't know if AR is one of them. I mean, it's something against those guys, but just like Summerville is that good, you know, like, I mean, I don't know. Tough to imagine, but certainly could happen.
But if AR does get a man, look at that bracket. Look how it blows those things open, because you not only have this, the next game we're going to talk about has huge implications. So that completely blows up that lower state 5A bracket. It's going to be really, really fun to watch these two games.
No doubt about it. Our fourth Kona game of the week, another 5A matchup, John. James Island, 10-1. The Trojans traveling to take on the 9-1 Sumter Gamecocks at Sumter Memorial Stadium, Freddie Solomon Field over there in Sumter County, John. Last week, James Island, 48-0 over Wando, averaging 39 points on offense, 8 allowed on defense. Quarterback Connor Dancer, I believe he's a Tulsa commit, went 16 for 25, 246, 3 touchdowns. Running back Malachi Washington is back, which is big for that group there for Coach McCoy. Ja'Kai Grant also is a weapon out of the backfield. Receiver Raphael Pugh, 4 for 87 and a touchdown. James Hurto had a touchdown as well. Defensively, defensive lineman Sinclair Wright, linebacker Bryson Bowers, and DBs Deuce Prelo. Zamarius Gladden had 2 picks last week, and Jazavion Brown. You know, they always have a good kicker and punter as well, the Trojans do. So something to keep an eye out in these playoff games there. On the Sumter side, they had the bye last week, averaging 42 points on offense, 21 allowed on defense. Quarterback Frank Richardson is a dual threat, almost 1,200 rushing yards out of the quarterback spot there for Coach Barnes' group. Running back Cleveland Pinckney last game went 19 for 169 and a touchdown. Reggie Shannon went 11 for 139, 2 touchdowns. They have 4 players with 600-plus rushing yards on the season, so really get it done on the ground there. Athletes Corey Jackson, Jameer Bay are weapons for them. Defensively, Tymaries Thompson Durant on the back end last time, 9 tackles, 2 TFLs. Nashawn Brown, 14 tackles, a TFL, PBU. And Demarion Holmes, 8 tackles and a fumble recovery. John, 2 big physical guys here with Sumter and James Island. Who do you like in this matchup?
I like both of these teams. You know, they are, and they're structured similar from a physicality perspective. They're both big and very physical groups. Sumter very physical on the offensive side of the football. Like to run the football. Franklin Richardson, big kid. He can really bruise them. And then when they get free, you give them a little room. This Sumter offense has more speed than you think. Yeah. Guys that big shouldn't be as fast as they are, and they are. And then you look at James Island, they're physical, and they're tough, and they're mean on the defensive side of the football. So this is a great matchup. Don't expect this one to be super high scoring. You got a good defense in James Island. I don't think a very good defense in Sumter, which is wild to say because usually the Gamecocks are hanging their hat on defense. They're getting it done offensively this year on the ground. I think this game matches up really, really well for James Island because they are big and physical up front. I think they're going to have enough to contain this Sumter offense. Sumter, I think, is still going to score, but they're going to be chewing up clock. I don't see quick hitter drives for Sumter in this game. And I think the James Island offense will be good enough to score enough on the Sumter defense to win this game. I see something like a 24-14, 24-17 kind of ball game. James Island's given up double-digit points twice this year. I think that happens again.
Say it again, John. Say it again.
Twice this year, James Island has given up double-digit points. And one of them wasn't Summerville either. No, it was. They gave 14 in that game.
Yeah.
And then 21
Ashley Ridge.
21 to Ashley Ridge.
Yeah.
They match up well. This is a good matchup for James Island. They should win this game. They got to take care of the football. Don't give Sumter any extra possessions. But this will be a great game to watch because I think if James Island can contain this Sumter offense, they're going to be able to contain anybody up front, I think, across 5A. I don't trust Sumter being able to throw the ball downfield efficiently enough to win this game. I like James Island to win this for those reasons.
You mentioned Sumter quarterback Franklin Richardson got an ECU offer, I believe, yesterday, so hats off to him. But just crazy how much they're running the football. I mentioned they've got 4 guys, 600-plus rush yards on the season. 3,710 rushing yards, just 655 passing yards for the Gamecocks. You don't see that a ton in 5A, but that's what they want to do. You know, James Island, it's a bit of a shift for them a little bit. They're kind of a different hard-nosed physical team because they're tough, physical, defensive-minded, but they want to throw it a little more than you probably expect. I'd say with Daniel, who can really get it done. Him and Hurto and those guys out wide have done a great job spreading it around this year and kind of having some explosive plays for Coach McCoy there. You know, a couple weeks back when Sumter beat Ridgeview, I saw a post-game interview. Coach Mark Barnes said, we can score on anyone. And we're going to find out this week if that's true or not, because James Island's a different animal, man. They play a tough style of football that I think that it's hard to simulate because you don't see many teams who are as big and physical as what Coach McCoy can do there and what they can do with the different pressures to kind of mix things up and kind of bring some pressure on you there when they need to. So going to be a fantastic game. You know, when I think about it in my head, it's almost like love the Sumter offense, love the James Island defense. I feel like they're almost a wash. Okay. But when you flip it, do you like the James Island offense or the Sumter defense better? And I think I like the James Island offense a little better, which is odd to say because Sumter's defense is usually what they're known for. This year, maybe a step or two down. Like I love Thompson Durant still. I love Brown. Those guys. I think they just overall what they have is not quite what they've had the last couple of years. They don't have Anthony Addison out there anymore. They lost Brian Wilson. They're missing a couple pieces there. This is going to be a tough one for me to pick. Jerel, who do you like in this one? I want to get your thoughts before I make a decision here because I think this is a great football game. Two powerhouse teams that have state title aspirations.
Yeah, two teams I like a lot. And I get to look ahead, too. We get the beauty of that. I think whoever wins this game, I'm probably going to pick them to win next week, too. So I like both of these teams that much. But give me James Island. I do like that defense. They have been suffocating all year, just completely dominant. And, again, I like that offense that they have a little bit better than the Sumter defense, which is crazy to say. The only thing that there's two things that give me pause. This game's in Sumter, tough place to play, really, really tough place to play. And the second part of it, when they played Ridgeview a couple weeks ago, we were kind of down on the Sumter offense. That Ridgeview defense was carrying. They were playing great. We were on this show a couple weeks ago talking about how good that Ridgeview defense is, and they dropped 36 on those boys. So we'll see what happens. I like James Island in a tight one, but it's going to be a lot of fun to keep up with this. This is going to be a slugfest. Really good football game here.
So since you guys are both going James Island, I'm going to take Sumter. I think for one, like, the type of offense they play where you don't want to get behind, like if they can find a way to get an early score, so to really kind of, get that lead, that'll be a big for that confidence builder. And obviously just you put the pressure on James Island there, who I think in a couple games they've had some couple turnover issues, which you don't want to see in this one. But I'm going to go Sumter, close game here at home. I think playing at home is a big factor. That is a really cool environment there, Jerel. We've been down there. I'm going to go Gamecocks at home, but it should be a great football game on Friday night. A hard-hitting football game for sure.
Yeah, Zach, 7 points. That is 7. I know what you meant there.
Yeah, they're pretty tough on that side of the football there. That bye will kill Sumter, sisters. Interesting there. Curtis says James Island in a close one. G. Brown says James Island tough for him to go. It certainly are because, like I said, you just can't simulate what they do in practice. Like you don't have guys in this type of style they play. You can't really do that with your practice squad each week. It feels like.
Yeah, for sure. Should be a good one. Let's go to the next game.
Our fifth Kona game of the week, our SCISA game of the week, Heathwood Hall, 8-3, led by head coach Tommy Zimmerman, traveling to take on the 9-1 Hammond Skyhawks, led by head coach John Wheeler. Heathwood, a 48-14 win over Ben Lippin last week, averaging 25 on offense, 11 allowed on defense. Quarterback Patrick Belk, dual threat, 15 for 21, 215, 2 touchdowns through the air, 66 rush yards, another touchdown rushing. Receivers Chip Ravenel had 2 touchdowns, Jackson Noble, and then Jay Nelson a touchdown as well. Defensively led by Julian Hughes, the safety who was all over the field, Jamani Batts, and Liam Edwards. On the Hammond side, they had the bye last week, averaging 28 on offense, 6 allowed on defense. Quarterback Cade Amell stepped in, did a good job for that group. Running backs Levi Myers with Bubba Alexander. Out wide, you got Jackson Ross as a receiving weapon for them. Defensively is where they make their hay, though. You got Bubba Alexander at linebacker there. Linebacker Jackson Ross in their last game, John. 9 tackles, 4 TFLs, 2 sacks, a pick, a PBU, and a punt block all over the field there for the Skyhawks. And then defensive back Jordan Boston, maybe the best DB in the state. A ton of D1 offers, really good player there for the Skyhawks. These guys played earlier in the year. Hammond won 9-7. I'll tell you, I'm expecting a low-scoring game as well, another physical game. Two teams that really hang their hat on defense, it feels like, in this matchup.
Yeah, this is the defensive happy hour we've got going on here. We just talked about the James Island defense. I won't quiz you, but I'll tell you the last time that this Hammond team gave up a point. It wasn't November. It wasn't Halloween. It was almost September. Woo. The first game of October. They haven't given up a point since October 3rd. That's 6 weeks ago. Since they've given up a point. I think this is going to be another good low-scoring game. And I bet against Dutch Fork earlier in the year. I'm not going out on a limb the rest of the season. Give me Hammond. You got to trust the Skyhawks.
We said it earlier on in the year where this group, they had a bunch of young players on offense, had to fill a lot of holes on that side of the football. They're going to lean on their defense until the offense came along. They've continued to do that. The defense has been their calling card all year long. Offense has gotten better and better for Coach Wheeler there. On the Heathwood Hall side, man, I want to shout out Coach Tyler Zimmerman, what he has done with that group. This is their best season they've had in quite a while. He's turned that program around in 2 years. They're a team to look out for the next few seasons for sure. The Highlanders are on a good trajectory there. But like you said, John, I think Hammond at home, hard to pick against those guys, man. Just their pedigree, what they have done. I think they win another close one. I'm still thinking, probably in the teens or, teens, maybe 20s at most. I'm not thinking a lot of points in this one, but I like Hammond to win this game. But should be a hard-hitting game for sure. Jerel, who do you like this one? What's your chat saying on this SCISA matchup?
Yeah, I'll keep it brief, and I'm going to be with Zach and John have said. I'm not going to be stupid again. Give me SCISA Dutch Fork. I'm going to take Hammond to win this game. Should be a low-scoring, hard-hitting affair, as you mentioned. Love what Heathwood Hall's doing there. I think they're right there. They're probably the third best team in that classification this year, which is not anything to sneeze at because those other two are really, really good. But yeah, give me Hammond in this one.
I like it. Any other comments from the chat on that SCISA game of the week or any of our other games of the week here, Jerel?
Not on that one. That should wrap us up for our Kona games of the week.
Once again, our Kona games of the week, guys, we had AC Flora at Seneca. We all took AC Flora. We have Camden at Daniel. John and I are on the Daniel side. Jerel taking Camden. We have Summerville at Ashley Ridge, all three on Summerville. And then James Island at Sumter. John and Jerel on James Island, Kevin's on Sumter, and then we are all on Hammond over Heathwood Hall in the SCISA game of the week. As always, if you missed a game, one of our Kona games of the week, you can go back and check it out when the show's over. It'll be at the beginning of the show on Facebook and YouTube. You can always go back and watch it. It lives forever. Go check that out. But Jerel, let's shout out some friends of the program before we come back and go through the rest of the statewide slate.
Everyday life means everyday expenses. Spend smarter with a Founders Federal Credit Union credit card, offering you low rates and big rewards where it matters most. Enjoy all the benefits of saving while using your Founders Essential MasterCard. Make every swipe and tap count with smart rates, big rewards on select cards, and no balance transfer or annual fees. Because your money should go where you want it to. That's the power of Founders Federal Credit Union. Apply today at foundersfcu.com. Relax. You're with Founders.
With 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville, Carolina Orthopaedic and Neurosurgical Associates, Kona offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. Go to kona.care to learn more.
John, let's take a look at the 5A Division 1 bracket first. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, let's do one.
5A Division 1. Let's hit that one.
Starting in the upstate, we go to Irma. Boiling Springs will travel to Dutch Fork.
That's a lower no, okay. I thought you were saying the Irma Yellow Jackets. I got really confused there. You're correct. Yes, Dutch Fork hosting Boiling Springs, a Boiling Springs team that pulled a win out of their butt last week against Malden, scored with less than 10 seconds left to win that football game. 2 years in a row, they're going down to Dutch Fork now. I don't like their chances this year again, John, in that one.
No, I've watched the fourth quarter of that Boiling Springs Malden game. Awesome comeback for those guys. Awesome win for them. But they celebrated like that was going to be their last win. They really got after it after the game. Dutch Fork's going to win this one going away.
Yep.
Then we've got the winner of that game is going to face the winner of Rock Hill traveling to Burns. Decent game here. Burns coming off the bye. I like Burns to win this game, but they got to play well.
I think so too. Rock Hill has been a a bit of an up and down, team year in year one here for Coach Bulware. But when they put it together, they've got the talent to do some really good things. I just don't know if this week, I think Burns, a week off, probably good for them. Get Segura rested up, get those guys rested up. I think too many weapons there for Coach Shaw's squad. I think Burns wins this football game, but certainly could be intriguing if it gets late in the second half, and it's a close one here on Friday.
Back in the Columbia area, Ridgeview will be hosting Spartanburg. I still love that Ridgeview defense. I think they're the better team. I think they win this game at home.
I think Spartanburg, the key is the health. Lynch was out, has been out. I don't know if he's back or not. We'll see. If he's back, they got a real chance. If not, going to be tough without him to beat the Blazers.
And then bouncing to Spartanburg County, Dorman hosting Blythewood. Dorman should take care of business in that one. Blythewood's been playing better, but Dorman the better team in that matchup.
Agreed. And
then we flip over to the lower state where we've got just all games are good games here. We got two of our Kona games of the week. First Kona game of the week, we had Summerville at Ashley Ridge. The winner of that game will face the winner of Carolina Forest hosting Fort Dorchester. Surprise, Fort Dorchester. Haven't talked about them all year. They got a win on the first round of playoffs last week. I don't think they beat a really good Panther team on Friday, though. And then on the other side of the bracket, the other Kona game of the week, talked about Sumter hosting James Island. The winner of that game is facing winner of Stratford hosting River Bluff, a River Bluff team. I thought they might be a little bit better this year, but they get the first round win over Cane Bay. Really expect Stratford to win this ball game. I like a Stratford to play the winner of that Sumter James Island game next week.
Yeah, River Bluff is played well down the stretch. Hayden Myers had some big games. Darius Carter, the young receiver, has played well also for Coach Parks there. But I think, like you said, Stratford, little more talent right now, a little more seasoned squad. What they can do with Davis and McGowan there on offense for Coach McDaniel. I think Stratford wins this game at home, but certainly going to be a good second round test for them. I think the Knights are a little too much talent for this football team here. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on 5A Division 1. And while you're popping, I do want to have this. I had this stat written down, and I forgot to read it, but it actually may help my argument against James Island a little bit.
There we go.
Last year, Sumter played James Island, third round of the playoffs, beat them 34-17. So Sumter maybe knows a little bit what to expect from that James Island group. I have some experience there. But anyway, comments from Chris here says Lynch played last week. Good to know. Yep. So he should be back. We'll see how that shakes out. That's a Spartanburg team that, when they're fully healthy, really talented. We'll see what they can do this week.
People are ready for Division 2, so let's head down there.
Let's look at Division 2 now, John.
Yeah, this is a game that I watched a decent bit of last week. Catawba Ridge knocked off Fort Mill. They will now travel to play Northwestern. Catawba Ridge got good talent. Don't see him being competitive in this one. Then winner of that game, Greenwood hosting Gaffney. A good game here. You can never count out a Gaffney program. Greenwood coming off the bye. Greenwood should win this game. They're the better team. They're at the BAB, but they got to take care of business. Gaffney's not going to be easy out.
Two teams that have a fun history together, we'll put it that way, with some games in the past between the Eagles and the Indians. Gaffney, a team that you can never count out in the playoffs because these guys, they expect to win. They know they can win. They've got talent. It's a little bit of a down year for them compared to some other years, but they're still a really good football team. But I think Greenwood at home, I saw Coach Liner actually on the sideline last week. I talked to him for a little bit. He's doing a great job with that group. What they've got at quarterback with Lewis, what they can do around him with Crawford and Duncan and all those guys. Really explosive on offense this year, and the defense has come along quite nicely for him with Roman and that crew there. I think Greenwood at home wins that football game. JD takes Greenwood as well, looks like.
Then on the bottom side of the upper state bracket, Hillcrest travels to Indian Land. That'll be a fun game. Hillcrest, I like the quarterback play. Jackson Free, they got a good defensive line. Indian Land, really good defense on their own right. Good talent over there. I think Indian Land's a better team. I think they win this game. Hillcrest still a young group.
This is a really tough one for me because if we'd have picked this 2 weeks ago, I'd said Indian Land hands down. But then we see Indian Land play their, I'd say first real test of the season, Northwestern, and it's just non-competitive. So that really reset the way I think about Indian Land. I don't know what to make of it now almost. How good are they? I don't really know. So it's tough. Obviously, Northwestern's a really good football team. They've done that to a lot of teams, obviously. But you expect week 10, you think you're going to get a better matchup than you had there out of the Warriors. But I just don't know. Hillcrest, a team that seems to be hitting their stride, running and throwing. Jackson Freed's done a great job there for Coach Swag. Like, Nye Allen and Stevenson, those young weapons have done a great job coming along as well. Defensively play good football. I know that they beat a solid Riverside team last week. I don't know if I want to call the upset, but I think Hillcrest has the tools to do it. But it should be a fun game on Friday. We'll see how that one shakes out.
And then winner of that one will face the winner of TL Hanna hosting Greenville, rematch from 2 weeks ago, where TL Hanna snuck it out there at the end. I don't know that this game's going to be as close as that first one. I think TL Hanna wins a little more comfortably on Friday.
Really? See, I'm going to flip it. I think Greenville wins. I think just the way that game ended for them, kickoff return as time expires to win for TL Hanna. I think Greenville has probably been chomping at the bit to get another shot at the Yellow Jackets. We'll see. I think that win over Nation 4 was probably better than a lot of people thought, because Nation 4 is not a bad football team. That was a nice win for Greenville last week. And I think a big key too, TL Hanna, a thing that is an advantage for them a lot of times is that offense is tough to prepare for. Like, you don't know what you're looking for. But Greenville, obviously, you played them 2 weeks ago, so you're like, oh, I know what's coming at us now a little bit. So maybe Greenville can sneak it out. I don't know, but should be a fun one there, a fun rematch.
And they defended it very well too. Not that they just played it, they defended it well. So that does bode well for the Red Raiders too. On the other side of the bracket, Irma will be at home against Lugoff Elgin. Lugoff Elgin, really good season, a winning record now. Congrats to them to get into the second round. Not the same level as Irma. Congrats on a great season.
I mean, Lugoff Elgin's got some offensive weapons, man. Sadiq has played well. Richardson's played well. They've got some guys who can put up some points. I think an Irma defense obviously is a animal. They're a monster. Everybody's on that side of the football, man. Irma, a really good football team, but LE certainly trending upward. But I think Irma just too talented this year, John. They are.
Winner of that game will face White Knoll Lucy Beckham. Winner of that game will be at the bank. Lucy Beckham has played good football. We haven't talked about him a ton.
Yeah.
I've been high on this White Knoll group all year long. I think they win a low-scoring game and advance to the next round, which would make up a pretty good matchup, Irma White Knoll on that one. On the lower side of the bracket, Myrtle Beach should be hosting West Florence after the Seahawks come off a bye. That should be a pretty good game there. I think this is a good opportunity for an upset, if you want to call it an upset. But this should be a fun game here.
Yeah, Myrtle Beach beat them 42-38 way back in week 1. And obviously West Florence, Myrtle Beach both have changed a lot here. I know Coach Wilkes there for the Knights has done a great job kind of turning that program around, getting his culture instilled there. And he's obviously such a great game planner. This is going to be a tough game for Myrtle Beach. I love what they do with Cohen and those groups. Cohen there, the running back. I don't know. That should be an exciting game. Certainly a chance for West Florence to go on the road and get a win, it feels like.
And then the last game in the Division II side, Westwood will travel to Berkeley. Westwood's had a good season on their own right, a gritty team that fights hard. Berkeley should win this ball game. Berkeley's just flat out, I think, the better, more complete team in this one.
Jerel, comments from you or the chat on Division I?
Yeah. A lot more fun here.
Official Tyler says Lucy Beck with the upset of White Knoll. And this is two teams that kind of mirror each other, very, low scoring, defensive minded football teams here. Certainly could happen on the road. Coach Smith does a great job there, but I think White Knoll, I love the quarterback there. The young kid's doing a great job there for Coach Pelham. Landon says Gaffney's coming to take over your trap. Moses says 28-24 Greenwood wins. Curtis says Greenwood should be motivated after that. I think so too, man. That's a tough loss. And I think you got 2 weeks now to kind of get it turned around.
Yeah, this D2 bracket is much more competitive. I like this a lot better than what we see on the other side. So should be fun. More fun. I think it's gonna be more competitive top to bottom.
Agreed.
Let's go to 4A, guys.
Let's look at the 4A bracket now, John.
Yeah, the top of the bracket, you've got South Point. They'll host Emerald in the second round. I like the Stallions to win that game, running away there as they have done a lot this year. One of our
I do want to shout out right quick. I do want to shout out that Emerald Vikings team. I got to see them, in person last week. Won their first playoff game since 2017. They ever coached DuBose. Really great story there. Christopher Dean had 5 touchdowns, 4 rushing and a receiving for the Vikings. He's a little pack of dynamite, like Coach DuBose like to say, man. He can really get it going there. The quarterback, Bo Height, is a youngster as well. They play hard. Defensively, they're probably not quite where they want to be able to win this football game. got some playmakers on offense, but defense I think is where they're going to struggle. I think South Point wins the game at home for sure.
And then one of our Kona games of the week, AC Flora traveling to Seneca. We've got Westside hosting Wren.
I'm really excited for that one. This game was played just 2 weeks ago, back in week 10. Westside won 21-7 over at Wren. This game's now at Westside. If you're the Hurricanes, obviously you want a second shot at the Rams. I know in the first matchup, Muntu Brown went out pretty early there for Coach Freight's bunch. The go-to running back didn't get to play after, I think, the first few plays. I don't know if he's back. I'm thinking he's probably back 2 weeks now later. If they have him in the rotation, things could certainly change. That's a Wren team that had some chances in the red zone early on as well. Could not get it done and really kind of fell behind, just couldn't ever catch up. I'm thinking it's a more competitive game this go around between the West Side and Wren, but should be a fun one. Always is when those two region rivals get together.
Yeah, it's certainly a Wren group that's going to be motivated for some revenge after that first loss. And then another one of our kind of games of the week, Daniel hosting Camden. We flip over to the lower state side of the bracket. And at the top, we've got South Florence hosting Bishop England. Bruins are just a machine. Bishop England's had a great season, but Bruins are as tough as they come. That winner will face the winner of North Augusta hosting Gilbert. Gilbert, a big-time upset win last week over Bluffton. Did not see that coming. I don't know if we see two in a row, though, for the Indians.
Yeah, Gilbert was down 14-0 early on. I was like, oh, this game's over. Like, how are you going to catch up to Bluffton? And they do, and beat them by multiple scores. Like, Coach Exume's bunch did a great job last week. But on North Augusta, these guys played back in week 5. The Yellow Jackets won 56-14 against the Indians. Now, I will say Mike Doe, a little bit banged up last week for North Augusta. Didn't play a ton. Jaden Hatcher stepped in, did a great job there. Not sure if Doe's back or not. I'm not sure if they need him this week, honestly. Like, they're that explosive offensively. I think North Augusta wins again against a solid Gilbert squad. I love Gunter and Meats a lot there, but I think North Augusta a little too talented in this football game.
Then in Columbia, we'll see Gray hosting Hartsville.
Hartsville, a team that, is kind of flown under the radar this year. Started off with some losses, a really young bunch, replacing a lot of pieces. Have slowly gotten better and better. And we're talking off air, John, like that's always a tough group to play against in the playoffs because they kind of do some funky stuff on offense with some of the pulls and traps for Coach Calabrese there. They've got a lot of playmakers we know. They've got speed. They always do. Young quarterback Ford Wallace really stepped up. Great collegiate. I know they won last week. Last week I saw Coach Bryant saying that they didn't play their best football. He wasn't really happy with the performance. They would need to play better this week, I think. But I like the group they got. Trayvon Williamson, Xavier Wright, and that crew there. I think Great Collegiate wins at home, but you can't sleepwalk against Hartsville. They're a good football team as well.
Yeah, hats off to Hartsville. Win or lose this Friday, that young group has grown up very fast.
Yeah.
And then to close out 4A, we've got Hilton Head hosting Wilson. Wilson, a nice little upset of their own over May River last week to spare the rest of the state of a rematch. So this will be a fun game. I think Hilton Head, I think really highly of this Hilton Head team. I think they win this one, but I think this will be a pretty close game.
Yeah. And John, Jerel, ask you guys, does it worry you at all that May River and Bluffton both lost kind of as favorites last week? Does that worry you about that region at all with Hilton Head? Like I think Hilton Head's good. I think they're obviously the best of that group because they won the region. But does that give you any, concern a little bit? It's like, oh, maybe they're not as good as we thought. I don't know.
Big time, because I've really talked up this Hilton Head group for the last few weeks.
Not necessarily Hilton Head, but that region has shown us Region 6. While I do like them, and I think they deserve more respect than they get, when we get playoff time, they have not performed the best in the playoffs, and I'm not sure what the reason is. But yeah, I'm not really. I think this Hilton Head bunch is really, really good, but the region as a whole, we kind of saw this happening. That's why I thought Wilson was going to win that game last week over May River. So it's strictly just because of that region. So
yeah, and shout out again to the Tigers. What they've done year one for Coach Brian Wilson, man, making a playoff run now, winning a game, man. Awesome to see what he's doing with that program. A program with a proud tradition, proud history, getting it back on tracks, it feels like. But what's the chat saying about the 4A bracket here, Jerel? Trevor says bold predictions got Gray playing South Point, not South Florence. Certainly could. Gray's one of the contenders there.
I like
Curtis
that.
says Hartsville with the upset. Travis says Westside 35-21. A little more points in this matchup than the first one Travis has there.
I can see that.
Brandon says South Point, Westside, Upper State 4A. Deuce says Hartsville Gray will be a good game. I think so too. I think Hartsville is athletic enough, sneaky enough to certainly hang around. And if you get to the second half in a playoff game, if you got a chance, anything, all bets are off at that point. Deuce says South Central North Augusta rematch next week. I think so as well. Luke says Hurricanes will find a way to win this week over West Side. Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of injury reporting in this. So keep an eye on Muntu Brown this week. Also keep an eye on Mike Doe, according to sources in the chat. And then Bulldog loves to beat up on Region 6 down there in 4A. He had a really funny comment about that, but we'll let him slide this week. We'll see how Hilton Head performs, and then we'll circle back next Tuesday. See how
injury report. Good call on that, because like I said, I think Muntu's back. I don't know for sure for Wren. Mike Doe, I think he could probably play if they need him to. I don't know if they will need him to, just from reading some tea leaves there, but we'll see how that shakes out.
Everything's trickling down. We're starting to get injury reports in college football. Maybe we'll get them in high school in the next 10 years or so. That'd be nice.
I can't wait to see.
Got to start betting on it, I guess.
I can't wait to see how well those come out each week. Oh my gosh!
Let's go to 3A, guys.
Let's look down to the 3A brackets now, John.
In the upper state, Powdersville at home against Pendleton.
A rematch. Powdersville beat them 35-7 back in week 3. I honestly think it's probably going to be similar to that. I think Powdersville is playing really good football right now.
Yeah, they certainly are. Mountain View will travel to Crescent, a Crescent squad that's had a great season. I think Mountain View's got a little bit too much talent for them, though.
They played a 1-point game to St. Joe's last week, which kind of caught me off guard. I know they did have to go play at St. Joe's as the home team because of the way their home field at North Greenville worked out, but still a little bit closer than I thought. I think they're a much better team than Crescent. They should win this week, but that gives you a little bit of pause there. Crescent has some weapons with Evans and Acker. That's a good connection there for them, but I still think MVP wins that football game.
Then we've got Belton Honeypath hosting Southside Christian. Now the season gets more fun for BHP fans. You start playing some teams that they have got a little bit more talent, a little bit closer in alignment with the Bears. I like BHP to win this game. How close do you think this game is going to be, though?
Great question, because I think we talked about it the last month or 2 months. Like, I just cannot figure out Southside Christian. It feels like now they're playing really good football the last few weeks, man. I think they can certainly hang around. I think the problem is BHP is a little more explosive, because they're going to want to score 30, 40 points. Southside Christian, I think, is probably a little happier in that kind of 20 to 28 range, really. I think BHP wins the game. I think like maybe 2 scores, 10-14. But
pretty close. Should
be a good one. Yeah.
And then close out the upper state side of the bracket. We'll have Woodruff hosting a talented Christ Church squad. This is a good game here too. This will be a fun one. Again, I think, as I've said in some other games, I think Woodruff just has just a little bit more of a complete team. I think they win this ball game.
I think so too. Christ Church, they had the talent to beat anybody. It feels like what they can do offensively, especially. They're going to need the pass game going. I think it's going to be really hard to beat Woodruff with just a running attack. You need some throwing to beat that group there. And I don't know if they can do it. We'll see. Should be a fun game. I think Woodruff, though, is the favorite in that one.
In the lower state, Oceanside hosting Marlboro County. Great matchup here. Again, I'm never going to go against Oceanside, but a good second-round matchup.
I was really impressed with Marlboro County. I know last week we all picked them to beat Swansea, but when, you're going on the road, but people think you're the favorite, it can be a little tricky. And they put the hammer down. Like they handle business for Coach Johnson there. That was a really impressive victory for me from the Bulldogs. I don't think they're probably good enough to beat Oceanside, I don't think. But they've got some talent. We'll see. But I like Oceanside to win this football game.
Then we'll have Dillon hosting Silver Bluff, a Silver Bluff team that's improved this season. I like Dillon between the white walls. I think they win this one.
I do too, but Dillon, watch out. Silver Bluff is a much improved team for earlier on in the season. Dillon, just watch out. I think you playing at home is a huge advantage there. The young quarterback, Kale Sanfontaglia, has gotten better and better. Obviously, all the talent with Robertson and Capehart and Brown and Felton. I think Dillon's a better football team, but Silver Bluff, they're sneaky. They are sneaky.
We'll see Loris at home against Orangeburg Wilkinson. Two teams have had a great season. I think Loris is going to be too much for the Bears on this one, though.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, it's nothing against O-Dub. Like, they've lost one game, but they haven't really beaten anybody yet, and I think Loris is that good. I mean, last week they got a 40-point lead at halftime. They got guys doing interviews at halftime, like on the sideline. Like, it's just they're that good right now, man. Coach Manson's bunch is a real deal.
Similar script, I think, here in the last game for 3A. Newberry at home against Hanahan. A Hanahan team that's very solid. Just Newberry they are that top level. The Bulldogs should win pretty comfortably at home.
Some cool storylines there. Some coaches at Hanahan, have actually, played under Coach Jeter and when he was coaching, getting started. So some cool storylines there. But like you said, I think Newberry, a little more talent right now. A team that is, they're undefeated, but they've been tested as well, which I like about that. They've played some tight games, which I think helps you in the playoffs, of course. I think Newberry at home, I think wins this game. But Hanahan, hats off to them. Good win last week over Walkmall for sure. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on 3A?
I think Lower State 3A is interesting this week, but it gets real fun next week. I think that's where, in Upper State as well, I think that's where stuff gets really, really fun. So I'm excited to see how that plays out this week. Got a few comments, though.
Brandon's taking Crescent over MVP. I saw this a fun stat. This is actually the fourth matchup in 2 seasons between these two guys. So the MVP winning all of them. They played twice last year, now twice this year. And MVP won big early in the year. I think they've gotten better. I think they probably win again. Bulldog says, thinks Dillon wins, believe Bluff can make it interesting. I agree. I think, Silver Bluff's a sneaky team. They're a tough physical team, but I think Dillon at home especially is a key factor there. Curtis says BHP has a tough one. I think so too, man. Southside Christian has been playing some good football. I don't want to call them to win the football game by any means, but I think they can give them a scare, give them a good test here in round 2.
Don't be surprised you see the Bears on the hot routes this week.
Oh,
yikes.
Check that out on Thursday night. Randy said Christchurch must play a complete game. Should be a great one. These two teams went head-to-head in the Jamboree at Chapman. Christchurch looked good against Woodruff in August. Good to know. Yeah, I know both teams have changed a lot since then, but like you said, we've said it, going back to our season preview show where Christchurch had enough talent to make a deep run at this thing. I don't think they played their best football yet. And obviously getting late in the season, you need to do it now if you're going to do it. But if they're firing all cylinders, they're as good as anybody. So we'll see what happens on Friday. Zach says trap game for Woodruff, looking ahead to big matchup BHP. Certainly could be. And obviously in the playoffs, it's a little different focus level, you hope there. And I'm sure Coach Sloan will do a great job of that, but certainly a tough matchup. Deuce says Silverville's a tough team. Draylen Brown, a great back that may upset Dillon. Yeah, they've got some playmakers. They do. I've heard from some folks who watch film and have played a couple of those teams and said, hey, Silver Bluff can certainly hang around. So it should be a good matchup. Curtis says Loris is a beast. They certainly are, man. The Lions are a really good squad. Brandon says, what a game. Newberry Loris next week, 2 12-0 teams. Yeah, I hope we get that, man. That would be super exciting. That would actually be at Newberry as well, if we get that.
That would be exciting.
Over at Mike Ware Field. Randy says Southside Christian BHP may be closer than expected. Thinks BHP will win. Kind of how I'm feeling too, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's all we got here. Maybe so. Stay tuned. Check the graphics.
Once again, guys, our hot routes come out Thursday night. We pick a couple things like our favorite game of the week. We think a lot of points. Who's on upset alert? Tune in for that Thursday night about 8 o'clock, 8:30 on all social media. You want to see that graphic come out, see who guys are picking in that one. But, Jerel, let's thank some friends of the program. Come back and go through the 2A, 1A, and SCISA slate.
Preferred Home Services.
Schedule your sewer drain clearing with Preferred Home Services today. If we can't clear it, it's free.
Electrical, plumbing, cooling too.
Go, 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 Preferred.
Looking for top-notch sports gear and uniforms? Look no further than First Team Sports. With 30 years of serving the Carolinas, First Team Sports is your local full-service dealer. From youth teams to colleges, we've got you covered with team uniforms, staff apparel, Letterman jackets, sports equipment, and facility branding. Visit our local store in Greenville or firstteamsc.com. Make First Team your first choice.
Founders Federal Credit Union means banking made for you. The on the go, the pick up and go, and the oh, I want to go. Because at Founders, we give you the financial tools that make every dollar work for you. For the little things to the big things. For your future and your peace of mind. We'll always stay grounded in our roots, but reaching beyond what you'd expect is where we'll always go. Find out what our members already know and enjoy a new way to bank. Relax, you're with Founders.
John, let's look down at the 2A slate now. Another really good list of football games this week.
Yeah, starting it off, Clinton hosting Saluda. Does Saluda have any shot here? What do you think?
I don't think so. Saluda is probably better than I thought they were early on in the year. I was not really high on them. They've played a little better football down the stretch. I just don't think they can score enough to beat Clinton. And I think, the Red Devils with that group on defense, what Coach Campbell does there, They got some guys back recently as well, which is big for them. I think Clinton wins this game, but might be closer than some people might think.
And then on the other side there, Andrew Jackson will get to host Fairfield Central.
Yeah, and we saw these guys play earlier on in the year, John, and it did not go the Volunteers' way. Fairfield Central won that matchup 35-0. So I don't know if it'll be that bad again, like Brandon says there, but I think AJ has just been a tough animal to figure out. I just don't really know what to make of them. I think Fairfield Central is pretty good. Not as good as last year's group, I don't believe, there for Coach Davis, but I think they're good enough to win this football game on the road.
I think this is the week, though, we get some clarity on that region, though. I think we see how good they are. We talked about Region 6 and 4A. I think we get to learn about Region 4 and 2A this week.
Good call.
For sure. Chester, they get to host Batesburg-Leesville. You got to like Batesburg-Leesville to win this game, though, on the road.
You know what's crazy, John? Like, I feel like we didn't really talk about Chester a lot this year. I don't think they ever got into our poll at any point. And then you look, and here they are. They're a 1 seed, win their region. They're in round 2 of the playoffs again. Like, that's just what Coach Floyd's group does there. I think Batesburg-Leesville is better than Chester. I think Chester, they're not as good as that team last year, I don't believe. I love Radford and that guy. On defense, you got Feaster, who's a explosive weapon on offense for them. But I think Batesburg-Leesville, that loss to Strom Thurmond really kind of awoken that team, it feels like. They played expired football since then. Wooden has been awesome. Witt has been awesome. I think Wooden passed 5,000 career rush yards last week, first one in school history, extending the record he has there for them. I think Batesburg-Leesville wins this football game. I think Chester just not as talented as some other Cyclones groups we've seen in the past. I think the Panthers go on the road and win. Yeah,
Sykes have certainly been playing better, but Batesburg-Leesville, better team in this matchup, even on the road. Then we'll see Strom Thurmond hosting Liberty. Liberty, again, strong season. They've been a solid program. Strom Thurmond should win this one pretty easy.
Liberty, a good running back, a Shrine Bowler, Kareem there for that group. I think Strom Thurmond, though, just too much on both sides of the football, man. The defense has played better and better for Coach Webb, it feels like, the last several weeks. I think Strom Thurmond wins this game over at the Peach Fields.
Very fun game here to kick it off on the lower state side of the bracket. Hampton County hosting Sherall. Sherall, a tough 3 seed. This could be a very exciting game here.
I'll tell you, especially in the lower state of 2A, I don't know if you'll see 2 more big and physical teams than these 2 guys. Like the starters for these 2 groups here are as big and physical as 3, 4A, 5A guys. Like they got some legit talent and some legit size up front on both these teams here. Hampton County, that's kind of been their MO since they merged schools there with Coach Hanna. They've always had a big offensive line, big defensive line, good running game. Same thing this year. Jalen Singletary, I think, has like 30 touchdowns rushing. Has done a fantastic job out of the backfield for them. It also gets done on defense as well for them. He does a great job there for Coach Hanna. On the Sherall side, a team that we're really high on early on in the year, had some injuries early on, have gotten healthy and played better and better down the stretch. It's going to take a good performance from them. They're going to need to play well to win this game, especially on the road. Hampton County in the house, says Terrence, a tough place to play. I think Sherall has the weapons to hang around, has the weapons to win this game. They're going to need a big game out of Nick Gordon. I think last week had 2 receiving touchdowns and a pick 6. He did everything for them. He's had some return touchdowns as well this year. They're going to need a similar showing out of him. They're going to need Joint to go off. Caden Thomas got to play good at the quarterback spot. I think Sherall has to play really, really well to win this game. Can they do it? I don't know. Hampton County at home probably is the favorite, but that's a fantastic matchup there, John. I mean, that's worthy of a round 3, round 4 game, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Where that game will take on the winner of Manning hosting Timberland. I like Timberland to get the upset on the road.
Timberland, super impressive win over Barnwell last week. We talked about it like, hey, there's a chance Barnwell will make it hang around in that game, and Timberland did not have it. Like they played really good, a good bounce back for them. Manning, though, started to get healthy lately. I think Canty's back for Coach Kennedy's bunch there. This is a really good football game here in 2A as well.
Central Pageland, they'll host East Clarendon. I like the Eagles to win that one.
I got to say this, East Clarendon's won 9 games this year, guys. Did you guys know that?
I didn't. I would not have guessed that.
No, had no clue.
Why they won 9 games?
Had 0 clue.
Man, that's awesome for that team. Like I don't think they're as good as Central. I think Central, as Brian said, are coming for that trophy. I think that loss to AJ honestly was probably a good thing for them. Like they kind of woke them up a little bit. They played really good down the stretch. East Clarendon, though, hats off to head coach Cornelius there. really good up front. It feels like on both sides of the football. Don't have a ton of speed out wide, which is what's going to hurt you against Central. I think Central wins that game. I just wanted to mention the East Clarendon there because they're a team that we haven't talked about much, certainly deserving, though, after a great season.
And then the closeout to a Philip Simmons at home against Atlantic Collegiate. Really impressive with this Philip Simmons group. I think they win this one pretty big.
Yeah, they should win this game. I do want to shout out Atlantic Collegiate. First time in the playoffs this year. They won 5 games for Coach Ribbons. That's a team that people did not expect much from and have played some solid football this year. I think Philip Simmons, though, I think they win that game. They're just too talented right now. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on 2A?
Man, people love 2A football, and I do too.
Showtime 2A football. Yeah, I mean, a really good slate this week, man. Some really good matchups in upper and lower state, it feels like. Yeah, Hampton County is a good one, says Curtis. I agree, man. That's a really big-time matchup there. Bobby, Central talented both sides of the football. They certainly are, man. They got a lot of guys that go both ways that are talented both ways as well. Zach says, Chris Boyd, Rhett Gilliam back last week. Yeah, that's big for them. You know, Rhett Gilliam really came on strong. End of the year last year, had a lot of big games late in the season and in the playoffs running the football. Chris Boyd's a playmaker on defense. You know, he was the guy that got hurt against Daniel and that really opened up things for the Lions to come back in that game. They had a hard time covering the pass once he went out. Having him back, kind of a leader of that defense is really big there for the Red Devils.
The if in this sentence is just doing some work for Zach here.
If you can stop Savvy and KD, those are two of the best players in the state. It's tough to stop them both. But if you can, it's true. Revs by 40 plus, says Trez. Yeah, I think Strawberry runs away with that one over Liberty. I like them in that game as well. Peachfield says Bulldog. Yeah, should be a good victory, I think, for Thurman on Friday. Jeff says Red Devils by 3 touchdowns. I'm assuming Clinton. If so, I agree. Yeah. Luke says Hampton County is a great team. They really are. And they've come on strong. You know, they took some bumps and bruises against some bigger teams early on in the year. Have been awesome once they hit 2A play.
Most definitely. Let's keep it rolling, guys.
Looking down at the 1A slate now, John.
Yeah, really big game here in 1A to kick it off. Louisville traveling to Abbeville. I don't know if they've got enough to beat the Panthers. I like Abbeville to win this one, but great second round matchup here.
Yeah, this is a game where we saw this last year in the playoffs. I think it was might have been the Upper State Final. And Abbeville had just played a really tough game against Lamar. Lamar had a chance to beat them in that game. They didn't do it. Abbeville won. Then Abbeville and Louisville matched up, and someone over here picked Louisville to win. Did not go the way I thought it was going to go. Abbeville put the hammer down against the Lions. The Panthers, man, they are just so good, like so athletic, so talented, so well coached as well, man. That scheme they run, the guys grow up running it. They know what they're doing. They know their job. They know their positions. They do a great job there. Louisville has a lot of talent. You know, I love Strong and Howes in that group there. Culp has stepped in and done a great job at the quarterback spot for Coach Usher as well. But I think Abbeville is, I mean, they are very, very talented. I think the Panthers win at home. But this could be a close game. Louisville has, you know, probably as much talent as almost anybody in 1A. Like they're a group that could certainly muster up a fight to keep it tight here. So we'll see how it goes on Friday.
Just going to remind you of that score. That was 42-18 last year.
Yeah, that was a miss. That was a miss on my part, boys. Hand up.
Let's see. Blackville Hilda at home against C.A. Johnson.
I think Wagner Sally won the game, did they not?
Ooh.
Maybe not. Anyway, I may be wrong about that.
We've got something very off here, if that's the case.
Just go ahead, and we'll go back to that.
Let me do some research, but I also on the bracket have C.A. Johnson in this one.
I may be wrong about that. That could be in my head that I've just thought.
I've got Wagner Sally in the bottom side of the bracket. We'll come to it.
That's not on us. That's whoever's putting these out. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. Who knows what we got going on here? Hunter Kinder Tyler hosting Ware Shoals. Really good ball game here.
I do. I think that's a good game. Yeah.
I think Ware Shoals could see upset on the road here. If you want to call it an upset, I don't think you can.
I mean, Ware Shoals, like they play everybody tight. Obviously, had the tough loss to Abbeville a couple weeks back. They've got a really good squad there for Coach Dotson. Love what he's doing there with that program. HKT probably down a little bit from last year's group, not quite as good. Still have some talent there, but it should be a good. I think Ware Shoals wins as well, but it should be a fun football game.
And then, so this will be fun. I've got Lamar playing Wagner Sally. What about you guys?
I got Lamar and RSM going at it. Let me. I don't know how we got mixed up brackets here. That's a great question.
And I was telling you offline how the 1A bracket just what I was looking at two different things and they did not make sense.
Great question. You know what? I think Wagner Sally beat Dixie last week, I believe, correct? So that would put Wagner Sally.
I
right
have that
there.
too.
That would be what Lamar Wagner Sally, correct? Okay. Sorry, maybe I'm looking at the wrong one. Maybe I've got an outdated bracket here.
So Lamar played Lamar played Calhoun Falls. C.A. Johnson played Calhoun County.
Maybe that's where I got mixed.
Yeah, John's got the right bracket.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
But they both won. I don't know.
Yes.
Oh, here it is.
Lamar Wagner.
Onward
Sally,
and upward.
Yeah, go ahead.
To the lower state. We'll see Cross hosting Bethune-Bowman. Scotts Branch will be hosting Johnsonville. That's a pretty good game right there. I like the Flashes. This is when they play their best football.
And I think a big key, I believe Scotts Branch quarterback Javen Connors is done for the year with an injury. So I'm going to go Johnsonville at home as well. Sorry, are they at home or on the road? I honestly don't know. But I think Johnsonville wins this game behind Coach Cribb in that group there. Jerel, do we lose John? What happened here?
Yeah, we lost John. He left us. So
okay, well, Jerel, if you want to pop on screen until John comes back, we'll just go two-person that way. If it's zoomed in on me, it's not going to look good like that. It's just too much. That's too much Kev for the people there. We don't need that.
Kev. Do you want me to read the bracket?
There we go. After that, we've got Lake.
Let me read it since you got the wrong bracket. Which one you got?
We're going to Lakeview at Carvers Bay next.
Okay, good.
Lakeview at Carvers Bay. Carvers Bay won this game 32-7 back in week 7. I'm thinking probably a similar result, maybe a little bit closer. I think the Bears are just too talented.
Most definitely, yeah. Go Carvers Bay in that one. They've just been rolling. That run game has just been fantastic this year.
Certainly has. And we've got Latta traveling to Bamberg-Earhart, wrapping up the 1A bracket. Bamberg-Earhart, so explosive, Jerel, pass game, run game. Everything has been working for them this year. Hey, John's back. John, we're just talking about Latta and Bamberg-Earhart. Latta, a nice win over Baptist Hill last week. I thought that game would be competitive, and it really wasn't. The Vikings kind of ran away with it. Bamberg-Earhart has just been so explosive, have not played anybody close. They've just hammered everyone. I think they probably do the same thing this week against Latta, honestly.
I think so, too. You know, we saw Latta play Carvers Bay earlier in the season. We thought that was going to be a really good game, and Carvers Bay dominated them. I think we see something similar Friday night down in Bamberg. I think that Bamberg-Earhart's too tough. Latta, great team, great season. Bamberg's a different animal.
I do want to shout out Fisher Richardson for Latta, all-time leading rusher now I saw this week. So hats off to him there with the Vikings. Great career there for Fisher. Jerel, comments from you or the chat on the 1A slate?
Now let's see if we can fix this thing. Do it in real time. There we go. Let me pull up the comments here. So people have the schedule.
Lamar and Wagner Sally play this week. Thank you, Curtis. Appreciate that. Yeah, I must have had an outdated bracket. That's my fault, guys. Sorry. A few weeks early, Evansville, Carvers Bay, definitely a good one in Orangeburg. Yeah, I think, honestly, the 1A game's going to be great no matter who gets there. Like, I like Carvers Bay. I like Cross. I like Bamberg-Earhart, Abbeville, Louisville, Lamar. I think that's a really good championship game that we probably haven't had a good one in the last couple of years in 1A, it feels like. Abbeville by a couple TDs, says JD.
Yep, that's all we have on 1A. Should be a lot of fun. This one's going to get really interesting really quick as the weeks go by.
Certainly will. Looking down at SCISA now, John, I've got those brackets. I don't know if you do or not. Do you want me to read those, or do you have them in front of you?
You go ahead.
Let's start with the 8-man slate. We've got Jefferson Davis traveling to W.W. King, and then we've got Holly Hill traveling to Lawrence Academy, I believe. I'm thinking Holly Hill wins that game. On the top half, though, JD and King could be a really good matchup there. I don't know what to make of that one. I think King probably wins a football game, but should be a good one in the 8-man slate. In 1A, a rematch, Colin and Prep in Dorchester. Dorchester had a big win over those guys a few weeks back. Should be a fun one there. And we got Williamsburg hosting Thomas Hayward Academy, a rematch of last year's 1A state title game in SCISA there. In the 2A ranks, bit of an upset. Hilton Head Prep knocked off Calhoun Academy last week. They will be traveling to the Lawn to take on PD Academy this week. And then in the lower part of the bracket, Bethesda will host Greenwood Christian on Friday. Do want to shout out at PD Academy. Tristan Heckman became the all-time touchdown leader with 51 with his performance last week. Great for him and the Golden Eagles. In the 3A slate, Wilson Hall and Hilton Head Christian will take on each other. And then Pinewood Prep will battle against Florence Christian in round 2. I think we're heading towards a Wilson Hall Pinewood Prep rematch again for state. But I will say Wilson Hall, Hilton Head Christian, two very contrasting styles. One really pass heavy, one really run heavy. See how that shakes out on Friday. And then the 4A slate, Northwood will host Porter Gowd, and Hammond will host Heathwood Hall. It's our SCISA game of the week there in 4A. Jerel, John, comments from you guys on the SCISA slate. We're going to move into the friends of the program.
Nothing on SCISA. Do you want to answer Brandon's question? It'll be sad for you probably. If Clinton is playing in a game in the playoffs, I probably will be picking them in that matchup going forward. So.
Probably a good pick there, Jerel. Well, Jerel, let's shout out. Or go ahead, John.
So we all learned our lesson a few weeks ago.
That's right. Well, Jerel, let's shout out some friends of the program. Come back, go through our pick 'em and some other stuff before we wrap up the program.
Everyday life means everyday expenses. Spend smarter with the Founders Federal Credit Union credit card, offering you low rates and big rewards where it matters most. Enjoy all the benefits of saving while using your Founders Essential MasterCard. Make every swipe and tap count with smart rates, big rewards on select cards, and no balance transfer or annual fees. Because your money should go where you want it to. That's the power of Founders Federal Credit Union. Apply today at foundersfcu.com. Relax. You're with Founders.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. Our Pick'em contest brought to you by Hannah Engineering. Last week we started our playoff Pick'em. Round 1, like I said, a lot of chalk in that one, as you'll see by some of these scores here. Jerel, our round 1 leaders, we had a 7-way tie with 10, Andrew, Ben, Brad, Chase, Daryl, Moonpie, and Tyler. And then a lot of folks tie with 9, Jerel with 10, myself with 9, John with 8. I'll just say it, guys. Typically, the playoff pick'em, it comes down to that state championship week. Like, that's where the hay is made. So we'll see how that shakes out as we go. But hopefully you guys will join that. We've put it on our social media every Tuesday and Friday. It's also in the email list we send out. Certainly love to have you be a part of that. Brought to you by Hannah Engineering. A lot of fun to pick these playoff games, especially down the stretch. It gets really tight here the next few weeks.
Yeah, fun week right there. Good to get a 10. I lost a 1 that I probably should have won, so I'm kind of sad about that.
That's how it goes, man. Very, very frustrating stuff. I want to shout out our friend of the program, First Team Sports, brings you our polls each and every week. We will not have a no more new polls until the season's over, guys. So certainly keep an eye out for that after the state titles. Our teams of the week were Wilson, Gilbert, and Blythewood, all powered by Preferred Home Services. And then our playoff performers insured by the George Agency. We have a blog up now on our website with a ton of kids that had great showings in round 1. Go check that out. Go shout them out. I want to give a big shout out to those kids. Each and every week, guys, we put out a post on Saturday saying, hey, give us these stats, send us these numbers. If you guys are keen to send that, we'll certainly shout these kids out. We want to get them recognized for their great showings here in the playoffs. So once again, shout out our friends at Preferred Home Services for our teams of the week and the George Agency for our playoff performers. John, Jerel, a great week of football coming up, guys. You know, I was looking at the schedule. I was like, I don't know what game I want to go to because there's so many good ones to pick from, man. But it should be a fantastic Friday night.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it. Looking forward to this round. I think this is really when the playoffs get started now that we've gotten round 1 out of the way. But it should be a lot of fun going forward. Should be some great games. Again, if you're listening to us on Tuesday, get out to a game on Friday and support someone in your community. If it's not in your community, I'm sure you can find a game within 30 minutes or so. So even got SCISA playing right now as well. They're getting semifinals and things like that. So it's really heating up there. So go out, support your community, support these guys. Last time, a lot of people are going to be strapping it up, and every week it gets sadder and sadder in that aspect, and every week we get closer and closer to Orangeburg. While fun, that means another season's coming to an end.
For sure. Well, guys, as always, follow us here on Facebook, on Twitter /X, on Instagram, even more at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHAINS. Our website, movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Each and every Tuesday, we do a preview show, 7:15 p.m., live on Facebook and YouTube. We break down all of that week's games. Come join us again next week for that. Love to have you there. If you missed a part of the show, it will live on Facebook and YouTube forever. Go back and check it out when you get done. If we missed a game or you missed a class, certainly go and do that. Check out our teams of the week, players of the week, food reviews, coach interviews, all kinds of great stuff as well throughout Monday through Sunday each and every week. Right now, get your Movin The Chains merch. You can email info@movingchains.com to order yours or DM us on any social media platform. We got some great t-shirts here, black, navy blue, gray, or pink. Get to you just in time for Christmas. Great Christmas gifts for friends and family for sure. We've got a gray hoodie that I'm wearing a stone version of right now as well. Got a great hoodie for you guys. We have some great toboggans, a black and a gray toboggan for this colder weather games. Moving the Chains stickers right now. Great for your laptop, car, Yeti, tumbler, cup. Some good hats, Richardson hats, a gray front with a black back, also a gray back one, and a black front one as well up there. You can check all of this out on our social media pages. Certainly love to have you repping us and helping us grow the brand. Jerel, I want you back in here for this, Jerel. I know every week you shout out our YouTube subscribers. We're past 1,000 subscribers, guys. Hats off to the boys. Hats off to the fans. Clap it up for that.
Hey, you're gonna have to listen to it till we get to 5,000 now. That's the next benchmark. So it's gonna be a while, but we're gonna get there eventually. So no, thanks for everybody who listens, follows every week, man. We really do appreciate it. All of our stuff's organic. We don't buy anything, so it's all word of mouth. So we really do appreciate everyone who supports what we do here for the state of South Carolina and high school football.
Yes, no doubt about it. I had a great time over at Fountain Inn High School, my first game there last Friday. Want to shout out those folks, Coach Bell, Coach Jones, Coach Nichols for having us. Obviously, Coach DeBose, Bo Height, who all gave us some time post-game as well. Really enjoyed that. Got to talk to some friends, Chase Justice and whatnot as well there. Got to catch up with those guys. So a lot of fun talking some football with those guys. They really enjoyed it. Great environment. First home playoff game in the Furies history. They didn't come out on top, but they certainly had a great showing there. Really good team that I'm looking forward to following in the future. So shout out to those guys. If you see us at a game on Friday, come say hello. Love to talk some ball with you. Love to chop it up. Certainly come say hey to us. Like I said, order your merch, guys. Come on. It's easier to pick you out when you're wearing something on the sidelines. So certainly get yours to help us grow the brand. Looking forward to that. John, Jerel, any final words here on round 2 as we wrap up the program?
I'll tell you what, if you're in the lower state, you have a surplus of games to get to. I don't know if I've seen a single week where the lower states had so many good games littered across the region. Really, really good time to get out to a game Friday.
I just want to say thanks again. Get out there, like John said, especially in your lower state. No excuses this week. We only got 3 more weeks of home, on-site games. So make sure and make them count.
Yeah, going to be a lot of fun. Round 2 is always one of the best rounds that we have, it feels like. Just a plethora of games and a lot of really good ones. So it should be a lot of fun this week. I'm super excited for it. Looking forward to get the game. Should be good weather as well. I know it's been a little bit cold the first couple of days this week, but it should be a little bit warmer on Friday. So it should be a good atmosphere, good temperature for a game across the state. But for John Epps and Jerel Hendricks, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our round 2 playoff preview show here on Moving the Chains, talking all things South Carolina high school football. Once again, shout out veterans. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you guys for that. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.